Hello, everyone. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys about a few subjects that I think are very important and other stuff that's going on. And I also wanted to test some things out. So it's a little early, right? But this is how we roll, right? This is normal for me. I'm usually up hours before this. Geez, yeah, it's 7 o'clock already over here. So there you go. I'm just having some coffee, waiting for people to show up. Uh, I rarely announce these. I don't know why. Other people do. Maybe I could set up like regular times when I did these. It's actually much better. Anyway, forget it. I'm going to start talking about the algorithm. The algorithm hates me. Working out some problems, right? Sorry. So I did a very interesting live stream last night about a 6-year-old boy whose mother wants him to be a girl and is dressing him as a girl, sending him to school as a girl. He's in a custody battle with the father who wants him to just be, a boy. And she's suing him, to take away his parental visitation rights and to get him to pay, for the treatment of the boy to become a girl. And it's indicative of the society that we live in. You know what I mean? Why on earth isn't this just being, thrown out? And a judge saying, okay, custody is awarded to the father, and she needs to go under some psychological examinations to find out if she can, have any access to the child at all. And yet we're like, oh yeah, this is reasonable, right? She can take his, birth gender and just, mess him up, actually throwing the kid into gender dysphoria. I remember dating a single mother. This was about 20 years ago, over 20 years ago even. And she had a son, and she told me, that she wept when she found out it was a boy. And I asked her why. And she said, because she wanted a girl, she wanted someone to dress up, to play, with dolls with and things like that. And I suppose that's understandable, right? But it was like, it wasn't just like she cried and she wept at the time. It was like, no, she's upset about this. She's not happy with this. That's what it came across as. There's this fundamental unfairness, isn't there? Like even with what we're dealing with right now, and how I'm being treated by YouTube, there's this fundamental coldness and unfairness. It's like the minute the system or the left determines that, like, you're not going along with them, that you're not part of a gynocentric system, man, you're just like Hitler. You know what I mean? It's that fast. Which makes you wonder if it's a rational, position that they're at, or if it's just this really strongly held emotional worldview that they're latched onto, and anything that, seriously goes against it, not even that challenges it, just something that doesn't go along with it, okay, is like more than an existential crisis. It's like a challenge to their moral and ethical being. Do you see what I'm saying? So because they're not rational, like when you say to somebody, immigration and a welfare state at the same time, bad idea. And then, not securing your borders. Oh my God, what a really, really terrible idea, And then you've got like, a semi-open democracy where everybody can just vote. It's like, oh my God, you couldn't have a worse idea when you add up those things, right? But if you say that to some people, even on like the most basic level, it challenges them so severely that they're like, you're an evil human being. How dare you even consider a thought like that? And it's like, well, this is my country. I would like it to stay strong and to stay healthy and secure a future, for my descendants and for the people that I care about. I do not wish to see the resources and the treasure of my country squandered in a generation or two, just throwing it out to the world in general, because they're suffering. Well, I'm suffering too, right? But I don't take from them. There's a whole host of moral and ethical, logical arguments that not merely justify taking care of yourself, but absolutely require it to be, to even to have a life that the individual is capable of having. And that option, okay, of you having this free, self-determined quality life is being taken away from you. And it's being taken away from you, not the environment around you is making it impossible. And the environment is, being changed intentionally. As I said, you can't have open immigration and a welfare state at the same time, because then people will just come to take the free stuff and ship it back to their country, which isn't exactly, what they do. And it will attract, kind of like certainly the most desperate, but also, the most self-absorbed types. And that's not good. You know what I mean? They offer nothing. Immigrants coming into this country get better health care than I do. And I'm the one paying for their health care. And so are you, right? So you exist in a system that actually holds you in such a low regard that will take your property, will give it to other people, and will curse you if you say you don't like that. And I'm sorry, but I need my money to survive. I'm out here trying to keep myself alive, to pay my bills, to buy my food. Okay. And you're going to take that and give it to some man who hasn't even earned it from some other country because he's suffering. And then you're going to berate me and belittle me and knock me down because I don't like it, because you took what I earned and you gave it to someone who didn't earn it. And now we've got this maladaptive system where the good, strong people who can earn things and get things done in the world and want to make the world a better place, certainly their place in it, are getting destroyed. And the people who are lazy and dishonest and manipulative and won't even take care of themselves and are a burden on other people and don't amount to anything, okay, statistically, you're going to empower those people and feed them and make them fat so that they reproduce. Right. And then live on the streets. Unbelievable. So, that's our environment as men. And if we speak out against it, as I do, Howard Dare, thanks for stopping by, everybody. There's 32 of you, which just means that, there's only 32 of you that actually know when to get up in the morning. The rest of you are asleep in your mother's bed, sucking on your bottle, waiting to wake up to your cartoons and shit. And when, and it's like, and this is Howard Dare. You're like, I hate you, Howard Dare. I hate you, Dad. It's like, hey, I just want you to wake up and be strong and take care of your life and put yourself in a position where you don't have to be a beggar, like me. This is disgusting, right? Trying to do the right thing by the world around you and being utterly condemned and punished for it, right? It really is like Atlas Shrugged, where the greatest, and the most productive people within the society are the most burdened people. I'll tell you, I don't like being cheated, and I don't like being taken for granted. It's bad enough that life is as hard as it is for a man. Right? Like work is your lot in life. Perhaps not as a boy, but certainly as a man. Work is your lot. Any other thing that you've got, it's like, well, I don't know how you managed your way into that or worked or just fell into that, but whatever. It's the exception. You know what I mean? It's like, no, my parents are multi-billionaires and I just live off of them. And it's like, well, that's a very rare exception. Most men have to build up a set of skills and then exchange that with the world, with difficulty in an open free market, or ideally in an open and free market. That's not what we have. This is not a free market anymore, right? Like I come to the market and Lacey Green comes to the market. Well, Lacey Green's she's kind of cute, so I understand. Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm looking through my YouTube videos, even my homepage. And you know what it is? It's mostly, what it mostly is? It's pictures of young women looking at the camera like, where have all the good men gone? It's like, this isn't fair. This is how I feel about this. I'm sad. It's just woman after woman after woman, and there's some other people up there too that are like, what's the matter with all the other people? Why don't they love me? Just, with this stupid kind of like confused look on their faces. And it's like, they're not particularly attractive faces. Like, I don't know why the hell I'm looking at them, right? But it's what they promote. It's what they consider to be, consistent with their worldview. And it's a worldview where, men are not even second-class citizens. So I'm sorry, gentlemen. I hope you guys recognize that this is Howard Dare and you're listening to the Howard Dare channel. Thanks for stopping by. Let me check the chat, make sure everybody can hear me, things like that. Repairing and rebuilding men and boys. I don't know. Is it something that we should do? Or should we each just take care of ourselves? I'll tell you, it's hard, just to take care of yourself. It really is. So I don't know what I can do, as far as looking after other people. I've tried right here on YouTube. I've reached out to the world around me, and I've tried to make a difference in it for the better. But they're shutting me down. You know what I mean? Oh my God, it's Pablo. How's it going, Pablo? No, thanks for stopping by. It's voter fraud, says MGTOW Bulwark. It's theft. Well, if we're talking about women just simply voting for, additional social programs and additional rules and regulations that punish the men for, how they sit in the subway, for the, temperature of the air conditioning, in the office. It's certainly, immoral and unethical. It's almost illegal to be a man today. No, it is. It really is. You're punished constantly and you're conditioned. It's disgusting. Like, I'm not getting paid, right? Like, oh, you got to work for free. You're a vile, disgusting human being. And it's like, no, I think that I'm actually a very fair, healthy, productive, honest, truthful, ideal kind of person. It's true. But the people around me are political hacks, destructive, engaged in political censorship. We're in a lot of trouble, gentlemen. Our future is not so bright, not so secure. Super chat coming through. Awesome. I appreciate the support. That'll get me a cup of coffee. Hombre, how's it going? What plan does individualism have to cope with invading collectives? Oh, geez. The question, a great question too. Well, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? Collectives are, by their nature, large and strong and powerful. It doesn't even have to be an invading collective. It is a prevalent collective within here that you can raise up through demagoguery. It's not easy to take the masses and to whip them into a frenzy and to get them hating and angry and blaming and, misdirected. right? Very frightening, isn't it? To take a whole population with the use of, media and to, whip them into a false anger against a false enemy and then unleash them. That's Nazi Germany, right? But also understand that the conditions were so bad in that area that it was that was like the only thing that would work, right? Like the people were so defeated and so beaten down that the only way was to get them whipped up and hating. And it was damn easy to do because the situation was so bad. Situation is getting bad for men, isn't it? It's getting bad for the boys, isn't it? Being forced to be little girls. And understand, you hear about that, I hear about that, and it's like, oh, the poor kid. That isn't right. No, it's happening to you too, right? Not so drastically, not so directly, but it's happening to the world all around you. And I think that we men, as strong, we have to become strong individuals. We are all raised in the collective. Okay, that's why this is coming down on us. Look, so you've got some small group of blue pill mangina men, okay, and they're like, oh my God, these men don't worship women like my mother, right? My mother is a 50-year-old diabetic, obese monstrosity, right? And they're like, I love you, mommy. That man said a bad thing about you. We're gonna shut him down. You're not allowed to speak like that. You need to understand this is their fundamental worldview of the universe, that women are the most important thing in it. You can't do anything to upset them or say anything about them, and you got to chase after them with every single moment and everything you do. Oh my God. Oh, we sing love songs to them. All of our movies, all of our stories are about them. They can fly. They're princesses. It's a worldview. So if I say, she's just another woman, right? After you sleep with her 2-3 times, you'll be like, I want a different one. And it doesn't even matter who she is. Right? And chances are she feels the same way about you as a man. The guy's like, you're a horrible human being, Howard Dare. And I'm like, no, this is how your mother and father did it. They didn't, this is what the animals do. Sorry. It's like that's hate speech, Howard Dare. Right? Like the violin, and you could see it in their eyes too, right? Like the violin music is playing, it's swelling, and they're taking the love of their life in their arms, the fire is burning behind them. And now, you're saying, no, it's just a woman. It's just another human being that, goes to the bathroom and smells and sweats and gets into a bad mood. And without her makeup on, she's like a totally different kind of creature. And you can actually see the blue pill mangina's, face breaking, like his lips trembling and his eyes watering up. And it's like, there's no, and there's no real argument, of course, because it's the difference between a man's view of the world versus a boy's view of the world. And, usually things like, what about Madame Curie? What about Amelia Earhart? What about Joan of Arc? What about the Bronte sisters? It's like, all right, I'll give you those 5. There's 5 women, right, who are kind of like men, right? Who are kind of like did stuff. It's like the other ones, no. What about Catherine the Great? What would be a great series? Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. I have to do this. I have no choice to keep my channel alive. Great women throughout history. Right? Man, whatever. Do you guys remember those not old, but all those great shows? Cave Critter is here, ladies and gentlemen. He has ventured out of the cave to come to the Howard Dare live stream podcast. Even the cave creature comes out of his treasured cave to participate and to listen to the Howard Dare podcasts. support the Howard Dare podcast, like Cave Creature, Cave Critter. Yeah, I'm afraid, guys, all of my videos now have to become giant praise machines of women. The great women throughout history. Bum, 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 bum. This series will chronicleize the great women throughout history who have shaped humankind, who without their influence, we could not exist. And I'll be flashing pictures of like Hillary Clinton and your mother. Margaret Thatcher, Cleopatra. The women will love it. My channel will blow up, guys. And then I'll make some serious money, and then I'll be able to use that to sustain a MGTOW channel that, has an honest and truthful message. But without that bullshit fake message that brings the people in, and gets all the approval, great women throughout history. This is the story of Joan of Arc, who set forth the military history for mankind. Perhaps the greatest military genius of all time. Unfortunately, she was burned at the stake. Not so much of a genius, I'm afraid. Yeah, cartoon from the 70s. We're bringing them all back. It's Saturday morning at the Howard Dare channel. We're bringing back all the cartoons. Typhoid Mary. Yeah, well, the main carrier of the disease. That's how it works, people. That's what's going on there. So, the boys are raised in this gynocentric world. They have to worship the women. Of course they do. That's their mother. Right? They become bonded to their mothers. Even if it's a bad mother too, you still become bonded because it's your only source. So she can be a horrible alcoholic that, neglects you and maybe only looks in on you once or twice a week. That was my mother. And you're still like, that's my mom. Then as you get older, you realize, holy shit, she didn't even feed me, Like I'd walk into the house all bloody and shit like that and fucking fall over. She wouldn't even look at me, right? She's drunk. So I'm dealing with all of that stuff by the time I'm, 8 or 9 years old. Probably sooner. I just didn't even fucking remember it. No, maybe before that they were looking after me. I'll tell you this as well. When I turned, around 12 or 13, yeah, they really, started to hate my guts. I mean, the idea was that I had become too unruly, and too difficult to handle. And I'm sure I was, right? And I wasn't even half of what I could have and should have been. The minute I started to exhibit serious signs of masculinity as a young boy, I wound up in so much trouble, as a young man. I was getting punished all the time, I was sent away from home, trouble with the law, and looking back on it, I realized that it was certainly a huge part of it was neglect. You know what I mean? They weren't feeding me. They weren't looking after me. They weren't clothing me. They weren't, checking up on my emotional state and, my progress in life to kind of help me out and guide me a little bit. They were just leaving it up to me, which I thought was pretty cool, because freedom. But for a little boy, for a young man, maybe, not so much. I'll tell you, when they did send me away, I got some structure in my life. You know what I mean? It was actually healthy for me to not be with my parents, right? Like I actually became a stronger individual away from them. How do you like that? And it was forced structure. You know what I mean? Because you're getting up at 7 o'clock, you're doing this till 9 o'clock, you're doing this at 11 o'clock, then you're taking a break, and then you're doing this at 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and then you're taking a break, and then you're doing so, it was, like dictated to me, but I did just fine with it. As opposed to dressing myself, feeding myself, and choosing on whether or not I was going to go to school, which is what I would do if I was, with my parents. And they were kind of, pushing me towards the whole school thing, but they didn't care that much. Well, they did, but I could get out of it, and I did. Yeah, George Bush died. But, he's pretty old, so, he has not been doing so well, right? So rest in peace, George Bush. Was not crazy about the Bushes as presidents at all, I see them as, well, no reason to talk about that now. But, yeah, was not crazy about them as presidents. Ate spaghetti with butter while mom got $60 haircut. Oh, yeah, exactly. She said the other day that she spoiled me, 1980s. Yeah. I remember getting up at being up at 1 o'clock in the morning and cooking up a whole bunch of spaghetti and just being starving, right? It's because there was nothing, you know what I mean? I wasn't fed at all. And this was, I was 12 or 13, 14. Nothing at all. And unless I fed it to myself. So, the boys are at best neglected. Sometimes I go to the mall and the younger mothers with little boys seem very attentive. They seem to, be looking after their infants. But when the boys get a little older, they don't seem to pay too much attention to them. The minute those boys get to be about 8 years old, they seem to be pretty much on their own. Whereas if the girls, you know what I mean? No, they're, pretty much looked after. And I mean, you can tell, right? I was fascinated because I was, at the mall. And yeah, amazing. The minute the little boys get to be about 8 or 9 years old, they're like left to their own devices and they're dressed like, idiots, and they're like tripping all over themselves. But the little girls are walking around with their mothers and they're, dressed up and they're, they look healthy. They look bright. They look interested in things. They don't look like they're lost. And that could just be that they develop a little sooner, mature a little earlier, but it's not. It really isn't. I mean, the boys are just neglected is a nice word. To say neglected would be, kind of nice way to put it. They're on their own. No, there's not equal representation out there at all. I've also mentioned that during Little League season, the parks are filled with teams of girls, but not with boys. And at least where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like, which is pretty unusual since it's boys, who are interested in Little League. There's really not a great future for women in baseball, So I don't know why they're so involved in it. Right? And where have all the boys' teams gone? And I love it when some mangina blue pill man steps up and says, I've seen a boys' baseball Little League game in my neighborhood. Like he's like, like there's equal representation. Like it isn't 1 to 20. It really bothers me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it when men are like defending a gynocentric system. Look, I made a video about this, but I haven't been able to release it, right? Like I said, I'm very hesitant to release anything that isn't like just gushingly praising women. Like I said, great women throughout history. It's going to be my new series. Yeah. Cave Critter says, Howard Dare, the boys can always become gender fluid if they want to participate in Little League. It was disgusting, you know, the gaudy attention and frivolous attention placed upon the girls and the neglect and just the contempt and disregard for the boys. So I go in, you know, to one of these Little League things and they're not even really playing baseball. Like everybody gets to take a base. You know what I mean? Like they're not really pitching the ball. Like an adult man is pitching the ball to the girls, and he's not trying to outpitch them. He's trying to pitch to them so that they can hit it. Right? It's like, yeah, welcome to the big leagues, bitch. And if she can't hit it, she takes a base anyway. Right? Like the only unexpected moment happens when one of the girls accidentally hits the ball. and the defensive team is like completely surprised and flabbergasted. Which it's funny, it's cute, you know, it's comical. And they can play for a little while, you know, for a short period of years. Mostly they're too young to play, and then they're too old to play, you know? But some of them, as they get older, do take it seriously and seem to go into softball. But, you know, out of 10 or 20 teams, you know, across the park, only one team is like a serious kind of softball, girls softball team. And they don't keep score, right? So what is it you're preparing them? Okay, so you're giving them a little exercise, right? That's fine. And you're having them participate in group sports, but it's not sport. And it's not preparing them to play baseball. It's got nothing to do with the game. You know what I mean? Little boys play where you pitch to them and they're trying to strike you out. And, you know, defense is waiting. They know who's hitting the ball. They know how that person hits the ball. They know where they want to be on the field. And, you know, the little girls team, it's like watching the Keystone Cops. And as I said, 20-1. I mean, not even a 1. So there's all the girls playing, and there I am on my bike, just watching the play from a small distance. And there's a little boy outside, you know, the fence, kicking around the park. And he's kicking a little ball, like a soccer ball. And he's kicking it like, you know, like a seasoned soccer player. You know what I mean? Like a real athlete. And he's only about 8 years old. He's only about 8 or 9 years old. And he's just bouncing that ball up, forward, back over his head, off to the side, bouncing it off of the table. Like it's, you know, like that's his only fucking solace in life. Like that's what he does all day long. And there's this big fat woman, this big fat obese jolly, you know, big jowls in her chin and 3 chins dripping down and face actually so heavy with weight that it's actually like, you know, the fat in the face itself is actually like pulling the face down with gravity. And she's screaming at the little boy, Johnny, stop it. Stop it, Johnny. You're going to get in a lot of trouble, Johnny. And he's pretty much ignoring her. But it was fascinating, you know, that there I was in this whole park and they're trying to insist that these girls are like great athletes and they're just young girls, you know. They're not physically gifted for the most part. And then there's this little boy just kicking the ball like Pele, the soccer, you know, champion, or like what's his name, Ronaldo, Christian Ronaldo or something. Yeah, so yeah, and the old diabetic, fat, obese woman is just cursing the little boy. Stop it! You cut that out! You're not allowed to do that. And I thought, wow, that's really, emblematic of exactly what's going on. We live in a society that's like pushing women and girls into these male roles, and they stink at it. You know what I mean? They just, they stink at it. And then when the little boy is just naturally trying to do exactly what the little boy does when he's 8 years old, when he's becoming a little boy, they're like, you cut that out. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. I don't like that. You're not allowed to talk like that. You're not allowed to act like that. They did it to me when I was a little boy. Okay. They did it to this little kid in Texas that I'm talking about right now. They did it to me again when I was, 12 and 13. I suspect they did it to you. So that's what we're here to talk about. I hope we can make a difference. I hope it matters to you. If it doesn't, shit, I'll just go play you some, crazy music and shit like that. Are we supporting the Howard Dare channel? Pele. Yeah. The little boy was like Pele. Yeah. And they're emasculating us, as a matter of course. It's like it's institutionalized. It's what we're supposed to do. It's not like, oh, this is just happening once in a while. Soccer moms. Yeah. Yeah. Who's playing the soccer, boys? Come on. Yeah, there's a lot of soccer moms out there. Who are on the teams? It's not teams of little boys playing soccer, is it? Watch your television commercials. Is it? It's not. It's just not teams of little boys. It's teams of little girls. I hope you understand what's going on. I hope you understand what I'm trying to alert you to. I hope you realize that it's done with, not only was it done with you, but it's done all around you. And if you don't go along with it, okay? Like when I was there watching the game, I'm a single man and I can move, so I'm on a bike and it looks like it looks like I'm comfortable on the bike, right? So, and it's a full-size male adult bike, right? So it's like, holy shit, what the hell is he doing here? So an old man comes out, an umpire, right? And he's like standing, near me, like checking me out. And I'm thinking to myself, they sent him over here, right? Because I'm a single man and I'm fit and healthy and I can move around and most of them can't. Or, it's mostly single moms sitting in the stand, but there's a few fathers there. So I'm sure some of them can, but, they're worried about me. So I put him at ease, man. I tell him, no, I'm just watching, just stopping by. And I asked, are they keeping score? Is it a game? And he said, no, they're not. They don't keep score. They'll just play to a certain number of innings and then they'll, celebrate. Both teams will celebrate. And like I said, it's a man. Pretentious Hermit is here. How's it going, Pretentious Hermit? Need some influential music? Listen to the HU. Okay. Maybe I'll check into it. So as I said, it's a man pitching to the girls with the idea of giving them the best pitch possible so that they can hit it. And it's the rare exception, when the ball is hit. And it's comical, how the outfield and the infield respond to it. That first time you pick up a baseball or a softball and you try to throw it like as a little boy and it just kind of like slips out of the back of your hand and you're like, what the? It's like, that didn't go how I thought it was going to go. But then you practice a few times and, then you can really get good at throwing the ball. Well, yeah. So when they pick up the ball and they go to throw it, it slips out of the back of their hand usually. So it's funny, but it's cute. And their uniforms are really clean, really pretty, really nice colors without a speck of dirt on them. I mean, really impeccable uniforms. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen boys Little League, but that's not how it looks with the boys. And they don't pitch underhandedly either. You know what I mean? It's not an underhanded pitch. And that's even like for junior high school boys, right? Even by the time you're in junior high school, you're way out of that whole, we're just playing to play bullshit. So a little later on, I was cruising around on my bike and maybe even, bike, I guess. And, I'm in Arizona, right? So this is where a lot of the baseball teams do their spring training. And there's also some kind of like college level, high school leagues also, in the area at that time. And I guess I'm watching them play, right? Like, they're on a larger, they're at a park on a nicer field. And it's men, it's young men, not boys, but young men. And they're lined up perfectly. You know what I mean? Everybody is in their place, looking sharp, nothing out of place. And they pitch the ball and it's moving, like 80, 85 miles an hour. And strike. And goes again. Right? Strike. Goes again. Guy swings. Bam. Crack. It's like thunder. And that ball is fucking sailing. And I'm thinking, holy shit, it's going to hit me, but it's going out into like, center field. And, one guy just going back, goes up, catches the ball. Guy tries to touch up at second base. He throws, the in-between. I think the guy maybe even does make it into third base, but he holds up right there. And the guy goes back, he drops the bat and he goes back to the dugout, and they don't congratulate him. They don't pat him on the back, right? Like he just fouled, he just like, got an out, right? Like he just, like maybe one of his friends pats him on the back and says, you'll get him next time, keep your head up. That's it. As opposed to, the other, the girls playing where no matter what a person did, if they struck out, if they hit the ball, if they grounded out, whatever, it was like, good play. Yeah, nice one. That's the way. It's like, no, that's not the way. That's how you lose. So understand what's happening. You know what I mean? I'm not just telling you this story to tell you this story. What I'm suggesting to you is that this is the way it happens at school. This is the way it happens in the workplace. This is the way it happens right here on YouTube. It is, okay? I have over 1,000 videos, over 3 years worth of experience. I've been doing this for a little while, okay? Young girl comes on here. She puts out a video. She does it for a few months. She'll have 50,000 subscribers. Random guy coming through with the super chat. Thank you, my friend. That's what I'm looking for, you guys. Guys, follow Random Guy's example. He says, greetings, Howard, champion of men. Thank you, sir. May the gods continue to protect you and your message. Cheers. And you, my friend, and you. And so to us all. Let us be champions of our own lives. Let us conduct ourselves as, men can do so. We're not these low-level little boys that need to be punished that society portrays us as. And it's more than that, my friends. If you don't conform to this worldview and treat other men like second-class citizens, the larger system itself will come down upon you as well. This is some serious conditioning that's going on right here, right now, to the disadvantage of men. And you need to get back in touch with your masculinity. You and I are like that little boy on the at the park, while all the little girls are dressed up in all their nice little uniforms, and they're all being pitched to so that they can hit the ball. And no matter what play they make, Everybody on the team, everybody in the stands, everybody on the field praises them, okay? They could tie their own shoelaces together, walk out, trip, fall on their face, and the team will run over to them and say, good job, Betty. Good job. You're a winner. You're a champion. Okay? We are that little boy who's neglected, that nobody's looking at, that, oh, do boys play baseball? I didn't know that. And he's just kicking a soccer ball. And the fat, diabetic, old, hateful woman is cursing him and punishing him and threatening him. That's a metaphor. Okay? This is how they're going to treat you at work. All the women are going to be dressed up in their sexy clothes with their perfume and their high heels and their fancy hairdos, but you better wear a black pair of slacks and a white shirt. Okay? You better have a certain type of haircut. You better act in a certain way. And it doesn't even matter because you're still getting falsely accused and you're still getting fired and you're still getting put out on the street. Okay? That's your place. That's the place for the man in the collective. Okay? I'll bet you that little boy was looking out at those girls and thinking, gee, I wish I could play baseball like they could. Little does he know that he is a professional baseball player. Okay? That he belongs in the big leagues. Okay? But he's got some fat old ladies screaming at him and yelling at him, telling him to cut it out, and he's going to get punished. And that's what's happening to me here too, right? Like I release a video, and I got a bunch of mangina blue pill men screaming at me. I got a bunch of women screaming at me. You cut it out. You're not allowed to say that. That's hate speech. And you know what? It even happens sometimes from other guys right here in MGTOW, or they claim they're in MGTOW, but they're just guys that are hanging around MGTOW. Look, these are the observations. I'll tell you something else. There's a tendency within men to ignore a bad situation. It's a certain type of blindness that we have, that no matter how bad things are, we tend to look at it and say, oh, well, not a whole lot I can do about that. I'm just going to go about my day. So, we know that we're existing in an unfair gynocentric system. And it's like, oh, well, not much I can do about it. I'm just going to go about my day. And it's like, no, you're going to lose your job. They're going to take away your revenue stream. They're going to deplatform you. So that's largely what's happening here. Do you hear Lion of MGTOW's channel apparently was shut down? I've seen a couple other videos talking about it. I went and looked for his channel. It's not there. The playlists that point to the videos on his channel, they're empty. So I guess it's all been, taken down. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah. Pizza Predator confirms. I just saw 2 search results about it and a playlist, his vids, all deleted. What the flipping fuck? Yeah. Well, he's a man speaking out about, in favor of men with men's issues. So, but delete that shit. Right? You're not allowed to say that. Look, I'm talking here about rebuilding men and boys because I believe that, they are under attack. And I'm not saying that, we have to hate women or anything like that. I'm saying that we do have to start looking after the men and the boys again. Right? That we've gone too far. Just like, the baseball, little league situation that I'm describing to you. That's what we've done. One of my favorite samurai movies, Lone Wolf and Cub. Do you guys know who Iguma Ito is? Ogima Ito. So, Lone Wolf and Cub. In one of the movies, one of the 5 movies from the 5 or 6 movies from the 70s, Sword of Vengeance, White Heaven, Red Hell, that grouping, of samurai cinema movies. Because there's been other movies, Lone Wolf and Cub, TV series, all kinds of things from the original comics, which are pretty good. One of the movies, though, is he's an assassin. Lone Wolf used to be the head chopper, sorry for the language, of the Shogun. That was his official duty. And due to Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Well, he gets, kind of like kicked out of his position due to some backhanded, underhanded, dealings, and he becomes an assassin. Okay, so you can hire him for 500 gold, but he wants to know the story, and all the background and all the characters involved, and then he'll take care of it. And he's got a kid with him because he's got a cub, he's got a young boy with him, and he's got a baby cart. So these are also known as the baby cart samurai movies. And the baby cart is decked out, with all kinds of samurai blades and armor and even some guns. But it's oddly it's believable. You know what I mean? Just the way they do it, it's believable. And he chops off arms and legs and all kinds of fun stuff. Splits people in half. Yeah, he's really quite good with the sword. And one of the things, though, he's hired by the loyal retainers of a particular, lord who's gone insane. And what he's done is he's married to a young courtesan, and she has become, the main mistress. And he has imprisoned his own son, who is the heir to, the fiefdom. And he has inserted his new wife's daughter as the new heir, and he dresses her up as a boy. Right? Like you're wondering, why is Howard Dare talking about this? Well, because that's the story. The old man, betrays his own son in favor of his new wife's daughter and makes her the heir by pretending that she is a son. So the loyal retainers of the clan hire Lone Wolf to assassinate the Lord, the wife, and whoever, and and so that the son can be reinstalled as the true heir. And the reason why they want that done is because if the shogun finds out what he has done, the entire clan will be abolished, and they will all be, without their jobs. They'll all be homeless. They'll all be, ronin. They'll become, masterless samurai. So there you go. It's the same theme. It's men betraying other men for women, right? And selling out the next generation of men. There's something very much like, men on strike, and other men simping to the women and undercutting our authority. Right? Like if men could just say no to women, we might be able to get our world back in shape. But Cave Critter coming through. Guys, I appreciate the support. Every little bit helps. YouTube is on an ideological purge. Exactly. Support Howard Dare. Thank you, Cave Critter. And everybody, this is exactly right. So unless you want to just watch cat videos from now on, and videos that indirectly praise women, look, you could come on here, you could make a MGTOW video, and you could be indirectly praising the women. I'm going to show you how to do it, right? It's a real subtle thing. Just because somebody says that they support a message doesn't mean that they support the message. What they do on a regular basis determines whether or not they support the message. It's like being a parent. You know what I mean? You say, oh, I'm a good parent. I look after my kid. But then every day you don't look after your kid. You you don't help him. You don't give him advice. You don't care for him. You don't guide him. You don't check up on him. Right. But whenever anybody else says, oh yeah, I'm a real good parent. I really care about the kid. Okay, well, I'm MGTOW. I really care about MGTOW. Well, then make content that supports men and builds up the men on a regular basis. I don't care that you say it. If you say it and then you attack the other men, or you just, build yourself up, what the hell is that? That's just kind of like, this self-glorifying. Let me tell you something else, okay? MGTOW, as soon as we got one drop of exposure. In the mainstream media, they shut us down. Okay? So I want you to imagine like a cruiser or a destroyer, okay, pulling up alongside of a bigger set of ships, okay? And I want you to imagine one of those bigger ships taking a shot at our smaller destroyer or cruiser, okay? Not even aiming at it, just kind of like over the bow, all right? And then I want you to imagine our entire fleet getting wiped out. Boom. Okay? One warning shot from the mainstream media shut us down. So when you say MGTOW doesn't have anything to do with politics, I don't think you know how angry that makes me. Because it does. Because they're using politics to attack us. MGTOW doesn't have anything to do with politics. But it does, because they're using politics to attack us. This is, it's not an open fight. It's not a battle. It's not a confrontation. It's not two knights on the battlefield walking up to each other and saying, I challenge you, sir, and then removing their gauntlet and slapping the other one in the face. It's not two guys getting into the ring, and saying Marcus of Queensberry rules. It's got nothing to do with any of that stuff. This has to do with political social influence behind the scenes. This is like a giant high school gossip fest. I'm sorry, I know it's disgusting, but that's what it is. And like I said, one warning shot from them and our entire fleet gets nearly wiped out. So, and I don't mean just Howard Dare. I mean all of MGTOW. So we've got to do something. We really do. And yeah, I guess we have to diversify. But if it's not a revenue stream, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, that's great. Like if I were a general, okay, in an army, and you were like, a high-ranking colonel, and you said, General Dare, we're going to take, a part of the army and we're going to go over here. I would be like, okay, but why? What advantage is there to doing that? And it's like, well, we're an army and we're gathering up more land. And it's like, okay, that's a decent idea, but it needs to be profitable land. Like, I don't need to go to Antarctica and fucking seize Antarctica. There's no oil there. There's no strategic reason to be there. I'm not going to send my resources over to Antarctica, to the South Pole, even though it's more land and we're an army. It's like bullshit. Okay? It was like Caesar is in the middle of Europe, okay? And the Senate says to him, go to Britain, right? Just take the army that you've got and go to Britain. And he's like, why? What's there? And the answer is nothing. Nothing is there. And he's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring the army back. I'm going to bring it back to Rome. And they're like, so I hope you understand, why that we're not just doing things to do things. Anyway, at some point this will become clear. I'm not just going to other platforms to go to other platforms. However, well, no, I guess we'll be okay, Oh, God, I don't know. I was just going to follow some, the examples of others. But what works for others does not necessarily work for you. Oh, maybe it could. Maybe it could. We'll see. But I want you guys, well, forget it. Forget it. You don't want to support MGTOW. You don't have to support MGTOW. Become... Limited or no ads remain on your video. Marriage, a contract between a woman and the state. Yeah. So, an army travels on its belly. If the army can't gather supplies, the army shuts down and it can't move anymore. One wagon full of supplies from your enemy is worth 10 of your own. It would take 10 wagons to get one wagon of supplies to the front lines. So one wagon from the enemy is worth 10 of your own. And revenue, that's the supply. That's it. That's the food. Okay? Make no mistake about this. Only a boy, only a child, only a man who is yet to accept his responsibility in the world fails to understand this. This is the measurement. Now, are there times when you are working on something and you're not making any revenue or profit? Yes, of course. You're developing your skills, you're getting something set up, or you're doing it for a different reason. But in the real world, where we are fighting and competing, to shape the future, to gain an advantage in the present, so that our worldview will be the dominant worldview. Look, if you want to live in a third world shithole, go ahead, right? But please don't turn my world into one as well. If you have a welfare state, you can't have open immigration. You just can't. If you do, the people will come and they will use up all your resources. No matter how sympathetic and, heartbroken you feel for the suffering of other people, when you should be feeling the heartbreak and the suffering of your own people. That's another thing, right? Sure, I feel bad for people suffering around the world, but I feel worse for the people suffering right here. I feel worse for the people who, have made good decisions and are still suffering. The people who made bad decisions and are suffering, let them suffer so that they learn. That's how you learn. So, this letting the women hit the ball every time, never keeping score. Hey, I think that's a fine metaphor for what's going on in the workplace, in the educational institutions, here in social media, in the mainstream media, which is, essentially the voice of your conscience, that voice in your head that just keeps you repeating over and over again. That's the mainstream media. And if you don't buy into their worldview, man, they're going to punish you. You know what I mean? You don't get to be part of the group. You don't get to be part of the Happy Cow Collective. Hey, you like that? I like that. The Happy Cow Collective. Of course, they're in the slaughterhouse, but they're happy for now. Did you see the 6-foot cow? Yeah. It's like a giant super cow. Towers over the other cows. It's true. Anybody want to come in here and talk to Howard Dare? Anybody want to go over to Discord? Here, let me give you a Discord invite. It'll be good for about 24 hours. If you want to chat to me in private. Really random guy, you should, go in there and out, look around if you got the time, things like that. But it's there for you. Hey, Red Pill Ghost is here. How's it going? He says, I'm debating on Twitch streaming today or not. Thinking I'm going to start with Witcher 3. Heard it's one of the best RPGs out there. I tried to play, the early Witcher, and it seemed like a pretty good game. Probably like the first one, maybe even the second one. But the big RPGs, they're too involved for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to invest 30 hours to develop my character. So I played, 4 or 5 hours of it. That was about it. But it was a really nice, decent looking game, beautiful graphics, decent interface, interesting story, little different. I think I played until I was like in the woods with like an older knight, and we were looking for like some ex-wife or girlfriend or something like that. And I was just like, damn. Random guy says, Howard, I'm at work like right now. I would like to talk to you privately sometime, though. I only get Sundays off. Yeah, absolutely, random guy. Come into the Discord server, at your convenience, and I'll put the links up on a regular basis, and we can text, type there, or we could actually talk, right? Like, so you guys can talk to me directly. But over in Discord, I wouldn't dare try to do it here on any sort of Google thing, even privately, maybe privately. MGTOW needs to escape from the sandbox, says MGTOW Bulwark. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, but it has to be sustainable, right? Otherwise, some people have self-sustaining means, like they're independently wealthy. They're just really well off, so they can do something like that. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about setting it up so that this message can grow, not so that it can go out and then fall flat on its face, or that it can only grow if somebody has, unlimited resources. Yeah, thanks. You know what I mean? Yeah, good example. That's like somebody giving you advice, who's a multimillionaire, right? Look, I like Tom Likas. You know what I mean? I like the advice that he gives to men, not the pump and dump, because it's too dangerous. But overall, he really helps the men recognize that they need to defend their own interests. Anyway, I shouldn't talk about him. But he's a wealthy, successful man, right? So he can afford to do some of these things. And yes, the women, are more attracted to him. And while his ideas work for the younger man and the man who isn't, so well off, it's dangerous territory for them. So the advice works really well for someone in his position. You see what I mean? But if you try to do it, it's like, well, you're not Tom Likas. You're not a famous, radio personality. So the women are looking at you like, you're in a lot of trouble, man. I'm going to falsely accuse you. You can't pay me off, right? And I don't want to be with you so badly that I'm willing to compromise these things. So there you go. That's true. Yeah, Red Pogo says, yeah, Likas is good, but I don't agree with him continuing to mingle with Western women. He was right on the money to home and to travel and go abroad, though. Yeah, I mean, he helps men have an attitude towards women where they're not worshiping the women. They're looking at the women and saying, look, if you want to, hang out with me and be around me, then, you've got to act like a decent woman towards me. Otherwise, get lost. Stop wasting my time. So he's able to, reinstill the individual respect that the individual man should have for himself, as opposed to, some simp who's like running over there. It's like, oh, let me open the door for you. You look beautiful tonight. Let me pay for your dinner. Oh, let me drive you home so you could see your boyfriend. Like, yeah, good work, guy, right? Like, you really did yourself a big service there, right? So that's how most guys are conditioned and trained to act. And you listen to someone like Tom Likas, and you're like, oh, that's right. There is something I want from her. There's a reason why I'm here. I'm not some cruel, heartless, piece of garbage. But if she's not, helping me out, then why am I helping her out? Why am I interested in her if she's not, interested in me? So even that much of a, self-sustaining attitude in this day and age is like, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to put that forward. And he does, unapologetically. So, great stuff. Okay. What else is going on, you guys? Are you guys liking the video? Because if you're not, man, I'll shut it down. It doesn't really do my channel a great bit of good to do live streams. It really doesn't, guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate super chats. I appreciate the support through PayPal. Go ahead and click on my PayPal support link in the description. So I appreciate the support and everything like that, but it's actually bad for the channel. I'm not kidding you. Let's see. Richard says, how about just dump women and realize that as men, we are too good for them and they are not worth 1 second of our wasted time? Yeah, good idea, but most young men just don't feel that way about it. You know what I mean? They'll do almost anything. They'll walk, on fire to hold her hand. And there is, like you can't tell a man who's never been with a woman, come on, it's not worth it. I mean, he won't see it that way, and it's built into us. So we. Seems a shame to have interlocking bodies and not, interlock with them. So, I mean, come on, that's what we have. Salute, Howard Dare. Thank you, Rico. I appreciate the support. Right, it's a lock and a key, right? So it seems a shame not to put the key in the lock. And when they do, a whole cacophony of hormonal and chemical, cues go off in the body, and they're real. They're not like, oh, you're just imagining that. No, they're real. And I'm not sure if there's any other way that you can really simulate that, So it's a part of the human experience, right? But, I mean, that's the attitude, Richard, that we kind of start to develop as a MGTOW, isn't it? But that's not how we're really built. That's why there's this struggle. That's why there is this problem. So, if a man can get to the stage that you're talking about, but without anger and resentment and hatred, and without, being like broken down, good, fine. Imagine how you would act towards women if you were like a king and you had a harem and everything was in order. You know what I mean? And you saw a woman that was not really all that attractive, right? What would you do? Would you be like, oh my God, it's a woman. Let me get the door for her. Let me open the door for her. No, you wouldn't. You'd just be like, no, whatever. And if she came over to you and she said, oh, my husband, he's not nice to me. Would you be like, holy smokes, I'll take care of you? No, you'd be like, oh, well, life isn't easy. Hopefully you can work things out with your husband. Right? So if you were the best man that you could possibly be, if life had worked out for you as well as it could possibly work out, right? How would you treat women? All right? Well, okay, there you go. That's pretty much how you need to treat women. That's the regard that you can hold them in. So I suppose if, like a really attractive one see, that's the problem, okay? Is that because the men are starved for affection, because the men are, told that they need to jump through hoops just to get a woman to smile at them, that they need to sacrifice everything just to get a smile, or a friendly word from a woman. Look, I haven't seen a woman smile at me in 20 years, okay? I haven't heard a woman say thank you to me in 20 years. I haven't had a woman look at me, like with some sort of respect or dignity in over 20 years. And I'm a somewhat impressive man. Not really impressive, I'm only like 6 feet tall, but I'm healthy and I'm alert and I can move and I don't have a nasty attitude and I can tell a joke and I can smile, and I can move, right? Like, and it shows. So like when I'm moving around and things like that, it's like, I'm not in pain, I'm not wincing, and so it shows. And no, not a smile, not a real one. You know what I mean? Amazing, isn't it? But I'm older and I'm not like like really fit. I'm just like normal fit. Actually, I'm more than average fit. I'm very fit, but I just kind of look normal, average fit. And I'm working on that. That's changing, to be honest with you. I remember after I was broken down from a blue pill world, from a mangina mindset, And I was looking at myself in the mirror and it was like, damn, my whole life is falling apart. I'm breaking down. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, damn, you don't look good at all. But I thought to myself, yes, but you are strong inside. And then I looked at myself in the mirror again and I thought, yeah, but you don't look strong inside. You look, sick. You look fat. You look broken. You look hopeless. And I said, yeah, that's true. That's true. I said to myself, but inside I am strong. And I tried to walk away from the mirror and I was walking away and then I looked again and I said, yeah, but you don't look it. Right? It's like you may very well be strong inside, but you don't look it. And then I thought, well, if I am oh so strong inside, why isn't it represented on the outside? Why can't you see it? And I thought, well, because it's fucking not there, right? Because you're just telling yourself it's there. It's not really there. Perhaps, there's a mental strength. Perhaps there's a type of, mental fortitude. But no, physically, the strength is not there. Otherwise, it would, be represented on the outside. And I thought to myself, okay, well, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. I proclaim that I am strong on the inside, and yet it's not visible on the outside. And I said, okay, then I'm going to commit to myself to making it visible on the outside. That if I'm strong on the inside, then it will show on the outside. And pretty much at, like near the bottom of my life. And I thought to myself, well, what is it I want? What is it I'm fighting towards? What is it and for me, the goal was to be strong. To be strong. Not just to tell myself that I'm strong, but to be strong, to look strong and to be strong. Capable of doing the things I need to do in life, not just physically strong. And that's what I wanted. And that's what I work towards. And that's what I'm doing. And I'd like to help other men also do that. Don't make yourself upset. Even though we're in a harsh situation, and I want you to be aware of it, don't dwell on it, that it upsets you and demotivates you. It matters. You can decide, whether or not you're motivated or whether or not you're all depressed and angry. And if you're all depressed and angry, which you decide, it causes a whole bunch of cortisol responses. It builds up your stress. It gives you a headache. It makes you sick. If you are, positive, always looking to get things done, always hopeful, and I don't mean falsely hopeful like, I'm going to live forever. I'm going to wipe out feminism. I don't mean like that. I'm going to get together with all my ex-girlfriends and they're going to love me. I don't mean hopeful like that. I mean that, you're realistic about your life's goals and you pursue them with gusto and with passion and with confidence. It sucks to walk around without confidence. It sucks to have to walk around in the dark and hesitate where the hell you're going to put your next footstep, to not know, to be reaching out like, oh, I don't know. It's nice to be able to fucking, know where you're working, what you're dealing with, and then to walk out there and to fucking do it. It feels good. That's the way you need to be as a man in your life. Cleaning up your area, building up your area, taking on new projects, exploring your area, being friendly and sociable with other people. This is a man's way, all right? Building, overcoming problems, not letting small things tear you down. This is a man's way. And the boys need to see this and have this example so that, they have something to pattern their behavior on. You can't tell them, you can't force them, you can show them. And they won't even know. They won't even know that you're, that, oh, this is the lesson. They'll just see that, oh, that's what a man does. And he seems to be doing okay. Maybe that's what I should do too. Look, we all struggle in life to learn. We all need help. You know how I get help from the people who are above me and better at what I do than I am, I watch what they do, and then I kind of copy them and follow their example. I mean, I'm not just copying them, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to learn from them, and then I'm trying to make it my own. I'm trying to see what they do that works, and I don't always understand what they're doing that works. So sometimes I just have to do what they do. How else? How they can't take the time to stop and to explain it all to me. They're busy doing it. Right? Like Michael Jordan can't stop and say, okay, now I'm dribbling, as deep into the enemy territory as I possibly can. Then I'm, threatening to drive him further back, but then I'm pulling up, right? So I have enough room for the shot. Once I'm close enough, he can't do that while he's playing. And yet he can show, he shows you what he's doing. So if you want to learn from the best, you watch the best and you emulate, you copy, you learn, you try it out. So that's what I do from the other men, from the other better content creators. That's what I do. Some of it I can't do, right? Like I'm not super social, right? Like I'm not, interested in throwing myself, well, whatever. I'm pretty social. I'm pretty social. Victor von Frankenstein is here, and he says, Howard Dare and gentlemen, I have a serious concern. It's been 7 years since my last interaction with a woman. My brother's girlfriend introduced me to a chameleon. She listens to TFM and others. Should I? All I have is should, but I'm assuming the next word is should I? Who knows? Should I avoid? I can feel my body calling me back to the plantation. She listens to TFM, huh? Interesting. MGTOW coming through with the super chat. He says, thanks, Howard. Need to hear that message still yet. Every day is hard. Every day is a choice. Sad, since we have the potential to prosper as families in our technological age. Sad, our biggest problems are the indoctrination of women to hate men. Indeed, and that's a great subject to talk about, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. What should Victor do? Okay, I mean, is this a potential red pill girlfriend? Imagine getting a girlfriend, okay, that's like good sex, attractive, complimentary, helps you kind of like get ahead in life, helps build you up as a man a little bit here and there. Her beauty and her affection alone helps you as a man feel good about yourself. See, this is why I was talking earlier, with Richard, we are kind of built, for interacting with the women. It's interesting. It might be, like a red pill girlfriend. I have heard of a prophecy that there may come a time, a day, and an age when women reject feminism, okay, and actually come to respect the red pill MGTOW way of life. Honestly, if I were a woman, okay, I would not respect anyone unless they were MGTOW. I just wouldn't. Certainly very strongly red pilled. You know what I mean? Now, at the same time, it's possible as a woman that I would also want someone who was, in fact, a complete blue pill simpish mangina and would just throw his life away for, anything that I wanted. That might be a prerequisite for a woman to say, okay, we're going to try to, I'm going to get pregnant and have children with this man. That, okay, this man is, completely brainwashed. He's completely, here. But then what a miserable existence, right? She destroys the man in that situation. So wouldn't the woman rather have a man that was like, I'm not falling for this bullshit. I'm not going to throw my life away. I'm not running across the parking lot to open up a door for some old woman from another country who hates my guts. That's crazy. you know? And if I were a woman, I'd look at that man and I'd say, he's right. That's crazy. Okay, so I might look into it further. You know what I mean? What does she think about TFM, right? Casual introduction might not be the worst thing in the world. So that's how I feel about that, Victor. I would look into this further. She could be the prophecy of the red pill girlfriend. And especially if she's younger, you know what I mean? And look, the younger, more attractive women, they've got a pretty good attitude towards men. Like if you go to the gym and you see some really fit and attractive women, she's usually, friendly smile. You could probably say hello to her. She doesn't appear, to be a total bitch in most cases. It's when they're unhealthy, that things start going out of whack. So, yeah, just be careful. Just hold on to your MGTOW knowledge. Keep yourself in check. And I think you should be just fine. I think most men will be just fine. What you got to watch out for, though, is the older single mother types. You know what I mean? Coming up against, the older man who's just oh so desperate and thinks that, he's getting lucky and he's actually being played. So it is sad, moving on, MGTOW question, MGTOW rather. A wedge has been driven between the men and the women. Okay. It is sad. And the women are useful pawns in this game, pretty much. The women have been convinced to hate the men. Right. And it is cultural Marxism that's influencing them. It's female gynocentric nature that's being exploited. But it is cultural Marxism, and it is happening through politics and our social institutions. It is happening, okay? It's happening in your media. It's happening at your workplace. It's happening in the schools. It's happening in media. It's happening on social media. Gynocentrism, feminism, this cultural Marxism has driven a wedge between, it's identity politics, all the other groups, and the men, the native men of the population. It's not even white and black men and Mexican men. It's not even that. It's not even necessarily just the men. It's the people of the native population that have built, the countries, the nation states, and are invested in, the quality of the nation state because that's where they live. And this is their only life. It's those people versus just a group of people who want to be in charge and have power and influence. So they use this as a wedge. They say that, these people are exploiting, they're cheating. That's why they're in a good position. Not because they work hard and follow the rules and sacrifice and keep a productive, good attitude. Not because of that. Right? But because they're cheating you. So this is the wedge. Look, here, young men, and this is dangerous, but I'll give it to you. If you want to get together with a girl, one of the ways that you can do it is to drive a wedge between her and her other relationships. In other words, you say to her, your family doesn't really respect you. Okay. They take you for granted. I respect you, right? I listen to your opinion. I care about your opinion. You should move in with me, right? She says, I don't know. My friend says that I should be a virgin and go live at a church forever. And you say, okay, well, your friend really isn't looking out for your best interests. I don't know. I heard, your friend wants to go live in a church and be that way forever. So she just wants company, So you see what I'm saying? You're driving a wedge. You're dividing and conquering. That's what's happened to the men. Every other group, okay? So you're at a party, okay, and you're standing there with a friend, and you say, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom or something, right? I gotta go hang up my coat," and you walk away. And when you do, someone else runs over to your friend and says, he's not really your friend, okay? He's a backstabber. You can't trust him. I want you to lie to the boss. I want you to tell the boss that he's a bad worker and get him fired. Okay. And then that person runs away. And then you come back from the bathroom and your friend is looking at you and he's sneering at you. And he's like, you know what? I don't like your work. I don't like your attitude at work. And you're like, well, what are you talking about? What's going on? He's like, you know what's nothing's going on. I'm going to go. I'm going to go talk to someone else. And he goes and he talks to the boss, right? And he does that. So a wedge has been drawn, between. And this is, I mean, that this has been happening, right? Like men could sense this from the 50s, that simply they were being demonized and blamed for all of the women's problems. Look, that's the false pretense of feminism. This is the false pretense of much demagoguery. That other group is responsible for your suffering, and that you can't be friends with them, you can't work with them, or anything like that. That's how you use identity politics to gain control and to, foster a relationship. But it's not real, okay? It's a bad way to do things. Guys, don't do this. It's manipulative, it's underhanded, it's dirty, it's dishonest. It'll turn on you because the basis of the relationship is falsehood, for one. And it's also a kind of emotional anger. Like what you're doing is you're inciting their irrationality, if you understand. So if you're now in a relationship with them, you're in a relationship with somebody who's completely irrational. And it's going to turn on you. It's not like, and I'll control it and I'll manipulate it. It's like, no, you won't. At some point, it will simply turn on you as well. Like, even if, you understand that. But the relationships between the men and the women, the relationships, the division of labor that we need. We're interlocking bodies, okay? So figure it out. We're designed to, link up. And it's the same emotionally and psychologically, it fosters all these types of things. So when Richard was saying, just have nothing to do with the women, it's like, yeah, but only if that's how you really feel, and I don't mean anger and hateful and resentment, I just mean if that's how you feel, fine. Super chat coming through. MGTOW, again, you guys don't let MGTOW carry all the weight. I appreciate it, MGTOW. Says that's exactly why I don't use pickup tactics. The only way to know is if it's real is if you're real. Oh, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's the exact reason why you don't want to use the pickup tactics. Look, and again, this is a fundamental difference between men and women, right? Like, you want to be honest. Look at the job resumes. I remember the first time I had a woman help me out with a job resume, and it was like, but that's not accurate. That's not my real job title. That's not an accurate description of all, my duties and things like that. And she was like, yeah, don't worry about it. And it's the same with makeup. Stunning sometimes when you see a beautiful woman and then you see her without makeup and it's like, holy shit. I mean, there are some cases where, like, you would like curse yourself in the morning. Like you'd see her with the makeup on at night and you'd go home with her and then you'd wake up in the morning and that makeup would come off and you'd be like, I hate myself. What have I done? So everyone else needs to step up here with MGTOW as well. I can carry weight. I'm big and fat. You don't want to be fat. You need to get the body fat down, in that like 10% range. I'm like, I have like visceral fat, belly fat. It's so hard to get rid of. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, okay, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, it's testosterone. I'll say it again. It's testosterone. Okay. I believe that you could work out, you could diet, you could sleep right, and you would still be soft, and you could still be soft, weak, and flabby. But then you introduce enough testosterone into that mix, and then that guy will really, become a solid man. Without the testosterone, I just don't think we can firm up through the gut. Random guy coming through again, because no pickup tactics needed. Build yourself up as a man, and you become the proverbial flame to which the moths are attracted, that are women. Yeah. Oh, I completely agree with that. Right. Like you don't even want to be dealing in a situation where you're coming up to the woman and you're begging her for her attention and her affection. Oh, no, 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 no. That's a horrible way to start it out. Build yourself up, become the flame, develop the halo effect, acquire the halo effect. Let the women come to you, and then you can pursue a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be, I mean, if that's what you're interested in, right? Like I'm not so interested in that sort of stuff. So like I go to the mall and I start sampling the men's fragrances, right? Uh, the high-end designer fragrances. And oftentimes the women, they'll start to flirt with me. Now, they probably just want to sell me something, you know what I mean? But that could be pursued. But to randomly just pick out a girl out of nowhere and to go up to her, that would be kind of difficult. Victor coming through with the super chat. Thanks, Howard. And all the rest of the men here, I knew I could get some honest advice from you guys. MGTOW for life. Yeah, well, I think we've all been through, most of us have been through, a lot of hard times in life. And sometimes like I'll get a comment in the comment section and it'll be a guy or a girl and it'll be like, you guys just don't know how to get a good woman. You're all just a bunch of losers, blah, 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 blah. And I used to get pretty upset, and I used to want to respond back to it and say, no, many of these are divorced men with children. Many of these are men who have been in many, many relationships with women and, have gotten burned pretty bad as a result and have decided it's not worth it. But I don't even bother. You know what I mean? It's like, that's okay. Let him believe what he wants to believe, that means more women for him. And it's like, well, you can only take care of one of them at a time, pal. You can only take care of one of them at a time. And I'm sure there's about 3 or 4 of them right there on your own block. Greedy little bastards. Reminds me of the Star Trek episode, the early Star Trek, with Henry Mudd, where he has an army of sex bots. And and by the end of the episode, they've all turned into hen-pecking, mean-spirited post-war bitches. Or rather, all of the sex bots have been modeled after his ex-wife. So he had all these young, hot sex bots that would do as he wanted. And at the end of the episode, they've all been transformed into his ex-wife that he hated and wanted to get away from. So in a way, that's what's happened to us as men. You know what I mean? We wanted friendly, pretty women. On my other live streams, I sometimes I was showing live cam from Thailand, okay? From just people walking around in Thailand. And the girls are cute and they're friendly and they're flirty. Yeah, some of them are probably, lady boys, but, no, 9 out of 10 of them, they're just friendly, cute girls. And they're all over the guys. The guys are walking around and the girls you can tell that they're really affectionate towards them and they look up to them, or at least they act in that manner. And it's really quite pleasant to see it. It's actually soothing, to the soul. And then to see in a place like, Japan or, New York, the way that the men and the women interact, like hostile strangers, like the men are predators, like the men are looking at them wide-eyed. And the women are looking at the men suspiciously, and hatefully. And then the women are flaunting their sexuality. You know what I mean? They're dressed in nothing and dancing around in front of the men. And the men are looking away at their feet and things like that. It's what the hell is going on here? And you can feel it. It's ew. The women are hateful. The men are frightened and scared. And, ugh. But then you look at another culture The women have their arms wrapped around the men. They're giggling. They're laughing. They're, playing around. They're like basking in the protection of the man's strength and authority. They're building it up. They're not tearing it down. That's really what the woman kind of can do for the man. Just the fact that she's affectionate towards him. You know what I mean? What a feeling that is for a man when a woman that he finds attractive finds him attractive and wants to be with him. It really confirms, a lot of his worldview, his identity. You know what I mean? It helps confirm who he is. Like he says, yeah, I'm okay. People like me. She likes me, and I like her. Now, it often, devolves into, like you hate being around that person. But there's that initial stage, you know what I mean, where it's oh so flattering. I kind of remember it. Super chat coming through. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps, and we really need it now that the mainstream media, YouTube, social media platforms have turned on MGTOW proper. The channels that strongly identify as MGTOW have been completely demonetized, and they're important channels. I don't know where MGTOW would be without Sandman. I really don't. I don't know that it would be here at all. And I'm in a position to really, say something like that. Barbarossa, Thinking Ape, some of those guys, they put out some great videos, Speznes, but they couldn't sustain it to the next level. I mean, not that they couldn't, they didn't. No, it was Sandman and Sandman alone who came in and said MGTOW is a regular thing, accept it, and made it that way. And that enabled, and TFM too, and other people. And that enabled someone like me to come around and to say, oh yeah, me too, MGTOW too, and Howard Dare too, right? I couldn't have done that unless someone like Sandman had done what he did. And now, so many other people, right? If Sandman wasn't there, we don't know that any of these other pieces would be here. So to suggest that, what he does and how he does it is not important, that's really foolish. That would be a big mistake. And we know that MGTOW saves lives. It really does. So this is a serious, situation that we have here. So I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate the support on Patreon. I appreciate the support through Super Chat. I appreciate the support through PayPal and Streamlabs too. I want to get more people to use Streamlabs because it puts up those announcements. I want to, anyway, yeah, you don't care. You'll see. That'll be fun. What else was I saying? What else was I talking about? So we're here to rebuild the men and the boys. You need to be aware that, you're in this situation that's trying to tear you down. You don't need to feel bad or angry about it, but you need to be aware of it. You need to make sure it doesn't, trap you up. Excuse me. It's Saturday morning here. I'm hoping for, lots of MGTOW content throughout the weekend. There was like 2 or 3 live streams on, MGTOW live streams on last night that I saw. Interesting, right? TFM, Turd Flinging Monkey. He does his live streams on Saturday nights. They're huge, like 500-600 people. He deserves it though. He's quite good. Yeah, no problems. What's going on? Checking out the chat. No, thank you, Jared. Thank you for the support, and thank you to everybody, for the support, and thank you for pulling together, as a community. I did that 13-hour live stream the other night. I was just playing music mostly and coming on, talking every once in a while, kind of like a DJ on a radio station. And it worked out just fine. It wasn't monetized. I didn't record it, to put it up here to sit, it was just done live so that men could have a place to chat. But man, 13 hours, that's crazy. But I, like I said, I wasn't sitting here the whole time talking. but I was for a lot of the time. So there's things that we can do that are like that. I don't think you can monetize something like that, but I don't know, maybe. I mean, if you could, like, maybe you could. But I got in trouble once for, leaving the live stream up and just walking away. But it had presented itself as a real live stream. Like, I didn't say, hey, this is just chat and music. And it was probably monetized too. So whatever. Well, I have other theories as to why they did what they did to me back then. Archangel says, just got done binge watching you, Howard. Thank you for everything. Will we ever be able to trust women, man, ever? Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can trust them now. You just have to be aware of their nature and the fact that they can change. And as the circumstances change, they change. You can never trust them like a baby trusts its mother. But if that baby knew what was really going on, it wouldn't trust its mother either. You know what I mean? So that was that real kind of deep, deep trust. That's a bit of an illusion anyway. We long for that. We men, we abstract love such that, we want to take all of our suffering, all of our questions in life, and we want to say, and she's the answer, and she makes it all worthwhile, and the man even wants to imagine that, like he's dying on a battlefield and says, and I did it for love, right? And I did it for her. And he's imagining, this, blonde haired, blue eyed, beautiful woman, right? This is like, the main motivating force in the man. We don't know that women do that with men. So while you're doing that with her, while you're looking in her eyes and thinking, wow, this is the whole meaning of the universe, she's probably not doing that with you. She's probably looking at you and thinking, wow, this is a pretty good guarantee for the next few years, for food and shelter. And I really love that, I really do. So she gets that glassy look in her eye too, but for a different reason. So we can trust them. We can trust them in that. And that doesn't make, that's like, oh, that's terrible. It's like, no, that's their biological concerns in life. The problem isn't that. The problem is that here we are in this modern technological society, and, the men are conditioned to think that, like we're all equal and shit like that. That they're not, the stars of the team. And sure. I put out anyway. Yeah, a pretty woman can be a lot more successful than here on YouTube than a very capable, disciplined man can be very easily. So, a popular child, a popular person who has a particular worldview can be a lot more popular than somebody who works very hard and does good work. But, in some ways, well, many ways, I have to step up the quality of my videos, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. There's no production reason for me to do so. In other words, I've been doing this now for 3 years. My videos are getting better and better. My videos, based on the way that I make content, they're becoming extremely persuasive, like mini documentaries or mini movies, right? Like I'm approaching, that's type of a thing. But here's the thing, they make zero money, right? So it's like, okay, here I am able to, invest 10 hours into the single 10, 20-minute video. And, I can make all the music, I can make all the graphics, I can make all the motion, I can make all the cuts and all the edits work. Highly compelling, music kicking in at the right moment, graphics, lining up everything. Very, very kind of subtle influence upon people if I want it. But like I said, it's going to take me 10 hours, okay? But here's the thing. I can't make a dime off of it. So why do it? Why not instead produce 10 videos of much lower quality? Make a dime on each one of those videos, only put, an hour into the video. You see what I'm saying? So my production ability, my video content creating ability has gone up vastly, just immensely. But the incentive has been completely taken away. It's hard. It's very hard. It doesn't make any sort of a production, sustainable, financial model sense to do it. They came to Jack Warner, who's running Warner Brothers Studios at the time. And they were interviewing him. This was back in the days of the, movie moguls, right? Like he is in charge of what they're making and things like that. It's his studio. And they say to him, how come you only make 3 or 4 really good movies a year? Not really good, high-end, high big budget movies a year. How come most of your movies are lower budget, gangster-like movies? Just, regular kind of not really expensive, not really high-end movies. How come you only make 3 or 4 big budget movies a year? And you know what he said? Because it'll surprise you if you understand what he said. He looked at them and he said, I don't have to. We don't have to make those big budget movies. And they said, well, what do you mean? Right? They didn't understand. And he said, well, they're a huge risk. They're a huge investment. And we don't know that it's going to pay off. And they take a long time to make. And they might not even make their money back. And as a studio, I don't have to make them. I can make a lot of money making smaller, less expensive, more popular movies, by making 10 movies for the price that I can make for that one movie. No, not one of those 10 movies, will make as much as the potential of that one blockbuster. But, most of them will do, a respectable percentage of the blockbuster, and we're not even taking the chance. So I don't have to make them at all, right? So, when I'm doing a nice thing, when I make these really big, nice movies, I'm not doing it for big profits. I'm not doing it, to be a big shot. I'm doing it, because I want to give something nice, to the audiences, to the people. And it's a big risk and it's dangerous. And if that's all I did, I'd go out of business. So I'm like Jack Warner. Why aren't you going to make a big, high-end production video? And it's like, because, actually, it's worse. It's worse. I know that it won't make anything. So the incentive to create the nice content has been taken away. That's what they do to the men. That's what they do to you. Need you to work this weekend. No, you're not going to get paid overtime. This is just going to be a favor to me. Bullshit. Right? The whole company is done up to take care of the women and the diversity hires, right? And the actual productive workers are just going to have to sacrifice more and more. This is what's going on, okay? It's going communist. It's going socialistic. It's going, the way of political correctness. It's going the way of an offense industry. It's going the way of endless rules and regulations by people who can't actually do the work, but they want to control the production. So they just make up rules and regulations. They pretend that, that you did them wrong. Professional litigators. Everybody gets to sue everybody. And do you see the haphazard the way that they mistreat conservative voices on social media? It's just it's wrong. It's censorship. It's political censorship. It's a perversion, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not free speech. It's not equally applying free speech. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you. That's very upsetting. Anyone Asian? I'm not, but plenty of people are Asian. They're not letting them into the high-end colleges, though, are they? No, you're right. It is censorship. Yeah, it's censorship. But it's political censorship, right? Like some things truly are vile and they need to be censored, right? Like you don't get to put certain things out there on the public airwaves because it's really quite too offensive to people, to anybody, with good taste or any sort of taste at all. But simply disagreeing with somebody, simply saying, look, I think feminism is based on false premises. Like someone says, feminism is the quest for equality between the sexes. It's like, no, it's not. It's the presumption that men have done women wrong. And they haven't. Males are not oppressing women in nature, and they're not oppressing, and men, it's not thousands of years of oppression. It's not. Anyway. But by saying I don't agree with that, I disagree with your characterization, I disagree with the entire premise of your argument, and I will defend my position, and not in any sort of a vulgar or vile manner, but with reason and logic. That's not supposed to be censored. There's nothing wrong with that. Disagreeing with somebody is not a crime, but it is to some. Threatens their worldview, challenges their worldview. And their worldview, my friends, is based on an assumption. So it's an existential crisis. If their worldview was based on, reasoned logic argument, which is extremely hard to do and takes about 50 years, then they wouldn't be threatened. But up until, 30, 40, 50 years, the worldview is an assumption that we adopt from the other people around us. So when somebody says, hey, you know what? Women might not be the most perfect things in the whole wide world. The person, they don't have an argument. They don't have anything to say. It's just like, well, my mother and father told me that it's true. And they taught me that at the church. And they taught me that at the school. And everybody on the media and television says it's true also. You're a bad man. See, they so they're threatened by, any sort of questioning of what they believe to be true. And and they can't have that. They're not strong enough for that yet. So here the men are operating under this assumption, that the women love them the way that the men love the women. And that doesn't work out at all, right? So the men are all busted up and brokenhearted and confused. They don't know what's going on. They're getting pulled in two different directions, one from their biology, and for their conditioning, which is saying to them, go after the women. And the other one, their desire for self-preservation, to just survive and to stay alive. I'm sure some of you have been in relationships with women and thought to yourself, God, I just got to get out of here. This is like, nothing is more important than me getting out of this relationship. That's a hell, there it is. That's the instinct for self-preservation versus the instinct to want to get laid. So the instinct to, preserve ourselves is getting stronger, right? And the chances of getting anything good out of it are getting less. Super chat coming through, everybody. MGTOW again. I need a little support from everybody. That's what I need. Why is the patriarchy taught in college and not the real matriarchy? Most everything men have done was for their family, partner, women, comfort. This is true. This is true. Well, it's, certainly a false narrative is being taught in the colleges. And it is, demagoguery. It is drive a wedge. It is, I'm going to control the minds and the feelings of these people by telling them that they're being oppressed by, the very people that they work with. And now these people will become my puppets, my slaves. I will be able to direct them based on this false threat narrative. So it's power. It's political power. And, we want to believe a false threat narrative also. It's like, if one guy is doing really good in life, and let's call him, I don't know, Abel. And if another man is having a really hard time in life, and I don't know, let's call him Cain. And you say to Cain, the reason why you're having a hard time in life, Cain, is because you're doing the wrong things. And you need to do things kind of more like your brother Abel over there, and your luck will probably turn around. And Cain will say, no, screw you. I'm doing the right thing, and you're being unfair to me. God is being unfair to me. The universe is being unfair to me. He attacks. He attacks his brother. And then the actual basis for his achievement in life, he's believed a false narrative. He's given it power, and now he's acted on, this false information. So now the whole world is turned against him. It doesn't even have to be a god or anything. It's just like, holy shit. You were supposed to study and adapt to get ahead. Like Abel. It doesn't matter what you're doing, just study and adapt. And if it doesn't work, just study a little more and then adapt again. Like, no, I'm not going to buy into that procedure. It's like, well, then you're screwed. Then you are fundamentally screwed. That's the procedure, adapting to reality and overcoming obstacles. That's how we get ahead. So if you try to teach that to people, and that is the patriarchy, that is a merit-based system, based on how, whether or not you're effective, you get ahead. Cain dreaded to hear that so much that he had to kill his brother. So they don't want to hear, that this is, that this should be a patriarchal world where men are competing. It's an open competition. Now, do we make allowances for mothers, women, and children, and for attractive, wives? Yeah, we do. But do we make allowances for old women from other countries that have babies from who knows who or what? Why should we? Well, it's in our instinct as men. You know what I mean? It is biologically, it's in our instinct to do it. And we're being taken advantage of. Unless everybody in your country is doing well, there's no reason to bring people from other countries into your country. Only then. So, I believe that many of these problems that we have as men in, modern Western civilization, are a result of people who can't really be productive, wanting power, and then using identity politics, driving a wedge between the groups in order to gain influence over those groups, and then thereby wield power, secure resources, government grants, steer and direct the focus of the country. Do we become a welfare state that has open borders, or do we become a fair trade country that, has lots of jobs and decent training, for schools and things like that and trades, right? And which future is brighter for us? And can we have some of both? And yeah, we can have some of both, of course. And we should. But, is the basis of our society, we have to take care of people and there's nothing worse than people suffering? Or is the basis for our society, hey, this is a free market. You've got to compete. And if you can't compete, you're not going to do very well. And it's nobody else's responsibility to take care of you and to give you a good life. Sorry. It's the way it is. Which one of these two kind of worldviews are you going to go with? I feel that we need to go with a competitive, rough and tumble, personal responsibility, individual responsibility world where people are responsible for the consequences of their actions. And it's harsh sometimes. Like if a person takes a whole bunch of drugs and doesn't take care of their health, they're probably going to overdose and they're probably going to lose their lives. It's very harsh. It's very hard. Or a world where, we try to provide everything for everybody and take care of everybody because suffering is just so bad. Right. And it's like, but that person hasn't even tried to work. That person hasn't even tried to acquire skills. Why should we try to take care of them in the fashion that, somebody else who's like a doctor who went to school and worked? Why? They haven't earned it. If you give it to them, you'll just be enabling more of this bad behavior. And there'll just be more and more people like that who want more and more stuff that can't earn it, that aren't entitled to it. And it just enables more and more bad behavior. I mean, does viewing suffering hurt you so much that you will accept that as your future? Does it hurt you so much to suffer just a little bit or some here in the present that you have to completely destroy your future? Or can you suffer and sacrifice a little bit here in the present so that your future can be secure? We need people who can sacrifice here and now in the present and take personal responsibility so that their futures can be secure. We want to work together with people like that so that we can build a sustainable future. You want to hang around with people like that. They'll give you good plans. They'll keep they'll help keep you on track, keep you focused on getting things done, being productive in your life, having a good attitude. That's healthy for you. You can lose weight. You can get strong. You can earn income. You can develop relationships with that type of an attitude. The other attitude, now I understand sometimes you fall down, you're sick, you need help. I understand that. You're not up to it. But no, that's the attitude. The other attitude, the world has cursed me and it owes me a living and it's cheating me. No, that's a terrible attitude. Okay. That's what I have to say for now. I'm going to leave it at that for now, you guys. Yeah. Thank you all, for contributing to the Howard Dare channel and to the MGTOW cause. It's a worthy cause. Saves lives. Saved my life. Many men, tell me that it's, saved their lives as well. Hey, Zoom. Thanks for stopping by. Excuse me. Okay. Anything you guys want to say before I shut this one down for now? How did we end up doing? Did you guys like the video? Do me a favor, like the video, okay? Help me out. This way I can possibly leave it up. Like if enough guys like the video and say, yeah, this is good content, do me a favor, send a message to YouTube and tell them to fucking remonetize MGTOW content so that men can, have a place and a message that's hopeful and supportive to their cause. If when this happened, 1 million men rose up and said, hey, man, you don't stop picking on MGTOW, YouTube would have been, oh, okay, sorry, that was just a mistake. So it's possible. Anyway. I'm going to go look at how many likes you guys did. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support over on PayPal. I'm just saying that. There was no PayPal. I do that. Thank you for all the support over on Streamlabs. We're really number one in donations on Streamlabs. Go to Streamlabs, donate to the Howard Dare channel, be part of the winning team. It's like nobody's donated on Streamlabs, but that's how you need to say it. That's what you need to do. Does Discord can do live streams. We can talk, person to person. Beyond the Pale. Thank you for super chat, my friend. Good morning. And thank you, Howard. Thank you, Beyond the Pale. Hashtag buy Howard Dare a cup of coffee. So Discord can do private chats and group chats, right? Yeah. So it can kind of do live streams. It can do group chats. That's what it's for. It's for people who, streaming, games that are, just in a team and they just want to all talk to each other. So yeah, 5-6 people are chatting together, right? I'm curious as to how many likes we have. Yeah, the likes are important.
5-6 people.
Echo. Sorry. That's low latency. 56 likes, 57 likes, people. Yeah, I think that YouTube uses the likes to predict the views. I don't think they've actually been counting our views for like a year now. I think they just kind of predict everything, or just predict everything based on the first 10 or 20 minutes. So the more likes I get, the better. The more shares I get, the better. Shares are important. If you can't contribute to the Howard Dare channel and to the MGTOW cause, share the video, like the video. I would appreciate it. And join me over on Patreon too, because I have, other things going on over there. We're gonna have to change up, the way that MGTOW presents its message. I'm sorry, you guys. It's gonna have to be mini marketing is part of everything we do here. So I was just letting YouTube take care of that, but I can't anymore. Okay, I've been rejected tons of times, says Pizza Predator. I've been rejected plenty of times, but I don't like it. I avoid it. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate you liking the video. Makes a difference. And it helps. It does. So yeah, but like I said, we're doing all different types of things. We're doing Patreon. We're doing Discord. Biblical MGTOW-MRA is here. Says women have went beyond free and straight into tyrannical. Indeed. Well, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. David 47 says men are great creatures. Yeah, there's nothing quite like them. They really are great. Nico Paul says, oh man, I just got here. Yeah, well, I started very early, Nico. And it's not that I started early. I started at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is not so early for me. It's not at all, but it's early for me starting up on YouTube. But it's Saturday, so there's more people here. I don't know if I try all the different times. Okay, MGTOW had to get going, took off. Thank you for the support, MGTOW. Really making a huge difference here at the Howard Dare channel, and what is enabling me to continue to put the MGTOW message out. The super support. Like I said, a little support from all of you would just go a long, long way. And it does, but more little support from all of you, anyway. Okay. Yeah, I'll finish this one out, and maybe I'll come back on later on today. Or maybe I'll get a video up today. I've got videos. I just need to, well, why spend 10 hours on a video if it can't even be monetized? Why make a movie? Why take a video and try to make it into a 10-minute cinematic movie? Why do that if it can't make but $2? It hurts. To put that much work into it, and then for it to just be oh yeah, this is not important. That hurts. Okay. So I understand how you guys feel about the situation. I want you to keep a bright outlook. The situation is not bad. It's not bad for men. It's not bad for MGTOW. It's a great time to be alive. There's millions of opportunities out there for all of us. Don't be upset. Consider yourself lucky. Whatever opportunities you think you've lost, no. Consider this as, now you know that those are bad opportunities, and now you can move on and find the good ones. Well, that's how I'm looking at it. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.